Joe Rogan has been owned so many times about spreading fake news, especially as it pertains to this issue, specifically because, like...
But, okay, here's the first thing I disagree with Hassan on. I don't think he's gotten owned. I think he's been proven wrong, but I don't think he's had to take fat L's. If you look at the list, if you go down all the up lies that Joe Rogan has spread, not only about vaccines, but say about like trans people in general, like he's not had to course correct on a lot of these things. And when he does, like with the kitty litter box thing, he was just straight up like, yeah, I lied about that. Oops. And then let's move on. You know, that's it. If you've ever wondered, check out Media Matters. They have catalogs and receipts on the amount of times that Joe Rogan lies. He lies all the time. I just hate that he and Russell Brand are two content creators that love to flex how they will actually correct themselves. Because not all conservatives flex like that, right? Some right-wingers or conservatives, they won't be like, well, you know, ultimately, people tell me to take shit down. I never will, because fuck you, man. But Joe Rogan brags about how he corrects himself when something's wrong. Like, you remember the whole cat box thing, the litter box, where Joe Rogan was like, oh yeah, that whole litter box thing. Well, I mean, yeah, I made it up. It's not true. Turns out it's just a lie, force feedback kind of thing. Because then my lie was used to verify Libs of TikTok's lie, and so just kind of everyone was like, well, this has to be true because two different sides are validating each other and saying it's real. And it turns out it wasn't. And that's like, well, it's a pretty badass lie. You could just be like, hey, and by the way, oopsies. Yeah. You also did a lot of vaccine lying. Like Joe Rogan was constantly fucking that shit up, platforming the worst kinds of people. And then he would go on a show and be like, well, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm anti-vax, but if you're healthy and you're young and you're like a 20-year-old fit dude, then I don't know why you would ever put that stuff in your body, bro.
I was informed last night that this tweet is fake. The show was already out, so we initially decided to post a notice saying we got tricked, then later thought it best just to delete it from the episode. My sincere apologies to everyone, especially the person who got hoaxed. Frizzle McDizzle, Joe Rogan reacts to a doctor's insane tweet with Brett Weinstein and how we should treat each other with post-mass formation psychosis. Apparently, this tweet drew so much ire from Joe Rogan stans that they were like destroying this guy, or this lady, sorry. So I will never regret the vaccine, even if it turns out I injected actual poison and have only days to live. My heart was in the right place. I got vaccinated out of love, while anti-vaxxers did everything out of hate. If I had to die because of my love for the world, then so be it, but I will never regret or apologize for it. It's just interesting, man. Joe Rogan keeps finding himself as like one of the main guys on the internet that is like super famous, has massive reach. He just keeps finding himself owned over and over again.
I got vaccinated out of love, while anti-vaxxers did everything out of hate. If I have to die because of my love for the world, then so be it, but I will never regret or apologize for it. It's a fascinating perspective. And it's also a fascinating perspective that this person claims to be about love, but has the most uncharitable view.
Jamie really got to be helping him out more, dude. Pulled that shit up. University has been slacking lately, okay? Maybe he's like worried that he can't get fucking, you know, enough play or something. I don't know what it is, but like he really, really, really needs to he really needs to be like, bro, this is not real.
The idea that I didn't get vaccinated out of hate, I find so ridiculous. Like, I don't hate anyone. I am a loving person. I do it on purpose. I go out of my way.
No, you didn't get vaccinated because you're a dumbass, bro. Like,
it's true.
To be as charitable and as kind as possible. And when I don't, I feel very disappointed in myself. If I make any decision or a statement that I feel like doesn't align with that, maybe flippantly in the moment, maybe joking around, I'm very disappointed in myself.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't hate because he doesn't understand how they work. If it was hate, he would have had to an interpretation. Well, I mean, he still would have had to misunderstand how they work. But you'd have to be like, by taking this, I'm somehow achieving my objectives, such as getting, or by not taking this, I'm yes convincing more people not to take it, which will in turn result in more people dying from the COVID-19 because that's what I want deep down. I mean, the results will be the same. whether or not he's doing it out of sheer ignorance or whether he's doing it because he just doesn't understand what's going on, or he's doing it with malice. Doesn't matter like which reason he's doing it for. If a whole bunch of people, millions, 11 million I think, listen to his show, 11 million, if a percentage of those were like, oh, I was going to take the vaccine but now I'm not going to, and some of the percentage of those people end up dying and getting sick, I mean, at the end of the day, which of the three was the reason? That's just like an issue for morality.
Self-critical. When I see something like that, I'm like, that is ideological capture at its highest level. Because put that back up again. So what you're seeing, one of the things that she's realizing here is that there is a narrative, and one of the narratives is the vaccine might be bad for you. So she's saying, even if it turns out
He said, Jamie, pull that shit up again. He said, Jamie, pull that shit up again, dude. I'm not done with that. Give it to me.
And the idea that you wouldn't be upset that you were duped into injecting actual poison when you were thinking that this was somehow going to save people and save the world is so insane that wouldn't bother you. But you are uncharitably categorizing all people who are hesitant and getting an experimental medical intervention that's never been tried on.
Why do you keep going? Like, at this point, you've been corrected on this so many times. So many times people have told you, like, it's not experimental anymore, bro.
Mass amounts of human beings in human history.
Like, you're just describing, again, every vaccine and most medicine, okay? But especially vaccines. Not only that, but you also took ivermectin, dog. What the fuck are you talking about? He's like, no, the only time we can fucking take medicine is if it's like, you know, if it's demonstrably worked on animals for other shit, and human beings for like human beings as a dewormer. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. No, dude, you don't understand. I'm injecting myself with insulin right now. What? I have cancer, but I'm injecting myself with insulin. I don't want to take any shit that's not tried yet. You know what I'm saying? The fuck? No. You don't understand. I'm also taking ibuprofen on the side too. You know, this shit's gonna be fucking good.
And also, if she's a doctor, a medical doctor, she should know about the VAERS system. And she should know that although there are people that report things that turn out to not be correct, there's a very low number of vaccine injuries that get reported in respect to the actual number of vaccines.
Where did you get that from? You can't bring up the VAERS system. Talk about.
By the way, Jamie's not falling off. Jamie's just like getting that bag. That's what it is. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to sit here and just 100% course correct Joe, because if I did, this show would have a lot more interruptions. Like, think of how many times at this point Jamie would have had to turn on that, like, you know, just the light of God and shine it upon Joe's face. And he'd just be like, oh, sir, yeah, sorry. I just wanted to issue a correction here. That's not true. The whole VAERS unreported numbers, that comes from far right conspiracy theory websites. With vaccine, it's actually stating here, but basically the entire international body of science, outside of like the corners of quackery, that the way this is going to work is like any medicine. If it's taken by a very large percentage of the population, there will be a certain percentage of that population who will experience complications, but it was going to be a much smaller percentage of the population than would either get sick and or die than if they caught COVID without the vaccine. So in the cost weight benefit, overwhelmingly in the positive for getting multiple vaccinations. And then, if you want to keep turning this into an issue, well, the weird thing is right now, a lot of the right are using, like Keen Bexty, that Alberta nationalist. He's using video footage of a reporter who got it looked like she's having a stroke live on air. And she also looks young, so it's a very scary clip to see. And using that as some kind of conspiracy theory that this may have been the vaccine. Or there's the NFL player who recently got very violently impacted, and there's this entire conspiracy theory floating around whether that has something to do with vaccination. And it's like, there will be, again, a percentage of the population who will have a negative response to a vaccine. That's how medicines work. You know, there's going to be a percentage of the population that's going to have a negative response to Advil or aspirin. There's going to be a percentage of the population that has a negative response to caffeine or alcohol. That they are going to exist. There are people who can never have drinks because it's going to damage their body. It's just, this is how the system works. And he never used to be like this for vaccines. he was one of the dudes who would make fun of the progressive wine mum phenomenon where measles was breaking out, because all of these people suddenly for the first time were like, oh, well, I don't want to put any poisons in my son's body. Yeah, no, I saw a documentary that apparently vaccines, they cause autism, and I couldn't risk it, even if there is a small percentage that they may become autistic. I simply cannot do that. We don't know everything that's inside them. Have you looked at the ingredients listed? Like, those are weird words to me. I don't understand what they mean. They sound scary. And so because of that, the weird sounding scary words, I think it's probably a bad idea for us to vaccinate. And like, Joe's all over that. He's like, oh man, measles is back because of all these wine mums. It's so fucked up, you know? It's just fucked, bro. Like, why the fuck would they all do that? And now we got measles back. Like, yeah, okay, so what changed? Is it the mRNA part? Does that scare you? You know, there's non-mRNA vaccines that you could take at this point too. Like, they exist. You could order them from other countries if you wanted. You could order them from Cuba.
How the VAERS system is self-reported, so it's like very clearly susceptible to people fucking lying, and then make up a lie on the spot about how, like, oh dude, so many people like don't even report it.
Has unvaxxed sperm become the new Bitcoin yet? Yeah, it was only a matter of time. There is there's a percentage of dudes who are doing stuff like that. They're selling their fucking like untainted cum, never before been vaccinated. Other people are selling their blood. You can buy unvaxxed blood and stuff like that. There's been other horror stories where people are like refusing to get organ transplants because they need to wait until someone who's been unvaccinated is capable of giving the organ transplant. And I'm like, even if that, vaccinated organ was going to suddenly impact your life, oh, I got a vaccinated kidney, it's suddenly inside me. I'm pretty sure whatever is causing you to need that organ transplant, it's going to get you faster than the 5G restructures your DNA into Magneto shit. That one's probably going to catch up with you quicker.
Even though a lot of the reports are just fucking fake. They say like Harry Potter got a vaccine injury. But also, like, there's so much more that's not reported. Like, there's evidence that women tell the truth in many instances about sexual assault that goes unnoticed. There's evidence for it. There's empirical evidence. There's also a lack of adequate care, like the rape kit backlogs and whatnot. Okay, so there is truly evidence to say, yes, sure, women sometimes lie, but the amount of women that don't lie and get overlooked or get fucked over by the system is significantly higher. There's empirical evidence for that. Joe Rogan looks at that and goes, I don't believe that. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, there is no evidence for the idea that like there are more people that get vaccine injured and don't actually report it to VAERS. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. He just made it up, or he read it in a Facebook post or something.
Because we hear stories. I mean, it's so
and they're so quick to promote those stories. Like, when there was that thing going around where people would just post videos of themselves shaking a lot, and then they'd say things on it like, oh, thanks vaccines, this never stops. Or, like, one woman in a hospital bed was like just violently shaking POV style. It was like, the vaccines did this. And then immediately they'll rush to that. They're like, look at this, we told you. And it's like, well, intense tremors and seizures wasn't actually high on the list of potential complications that came from the vaccine. This could be a lot of things. If true, maybe someone is having a psychosomatic, as in a non-physical manifestation of a problem that their mind is manifesting into a physical manifestation. That's like at the most generous. That's probably like the best case scenario. You could be like, well, this person's making it up, but they believe it, so they're not a bad person or a weirdo trying to pass off dangerous bad medical misinformation that'll get a lot of people hurt. So that's why they're doing that. Yeah, they know not that they lie, but that's the best case scenario. The rest of it is like, well, they're just faking having seizures in a disease that's going to get a lot of people hurt when this gets shown.
Anecdotal. I hesitate to even discuss it. Oh, I know this guy and he had a stroke, and they knew it because of the vaccine, but the doctor.
Yes, of course. There are people who are going to have strokes as a result of taking the vaccination. The complications therein. People who are going to experience myocarditis. That is true. But you know what causes strokes at a much higher rate? COVID-19, especially amongst young people within that like younger age gap. Suddenly, people who were not often very prone to having strokes. So that's something that should be protected against. It would probably make more sense, even though there is, yes, a very small percentage of people who will experience that as a result of the vaccination.
Wouldn't put that in the VAERS system, and they were.
Dude, what the fuck? This is crazy. He's like, yeah, dude.
I'd way rather have a headache and feel shitty for a few days and get long COVID, right? Like, I couldn't imagine what real COVID felt like, because, like, you know, vaccinated COVID, I was like, well, this is unpleasant, and it's going on for a couple of days. I feel very low energy. I feel very, very tired. I feel like I don't want to do anything, blah, blah, blah. But this isn't what the other people were describing when COVID was first out. You know, this wasn't like, I had friends who got COVID before the vaccines came out. One of them was bedridden for 2 weeks, lost their sense of smell, and is still having like long COVID shit from that. And they were young. They were like 37 years old. So like, yeah, that looked and sounded way worse. Way worse.
The doctors all are like, we got to hide the truth. We got to hide the truth, man. We all got to universally get together. Like a buddy of mine, he got a stroke, and the doctors were like, oh, it's definitely from the vaccine that you took, but we're going to hide it. We're going to engage in malpractice that you can easily get fucking sued for. What the hell are you saying? What the fuck? Yeah, dude, everyone is in on this conspiracy, but like, of course, the government's in on it too. Joe Rogan has been owned so many fucking times about spreading fake news, especially as it pertains to this issue, specifically because like...
But, okay, here's the first thing I disagree with Hassan on. I don't think he's gotten owned. I think he's been proven wrong, but I don't think he's had to take fat L's. There was that period where he had to apologize, and like there was another time when the N-word video came out, all the racist shit came out, and then there was the other time where he was clearly getting what I would assume behind the scenes was Spotify being like, yo, buddy, shut the fuck up, okay? Stop saying all this weird ass shit about vaccines. Pick another topic. A lot of like something, so you're just like, I apologize, I'm gonna try better in the future, right? But outside of that, like, he hasn't really, like, if you look at the list, if you go down all the fucked up lies that Joe Rogan has spread, not only about vaccines, but say about like trans people in general, like, he's not had to course correct on a lot of these things. And when he does, like with the kitty litter box thing, he was just straight up like, yeah, I lied about that. Oops. And then let's move on. You know, that's it.
He is so motivated. He is so motivated to, like, you know, say that he...
Like, it doesn't get through to his fans is the problem. That would be fucking owns, you know? If his fans were suddenly like, oh, okay, so wait, Joe, it's not true what you've been telling us, that we should, you know, take horse paste for humans to cure this disease instead of the vaccine.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arnie, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.